our members of the chat room is asking a question for you, Kevin. He wants to know, what if you can, and he's referring to mail security, what if you compress a file and password protect it? Would mail security still be able to quarantine that email?
Well, I'll give you a two-part answer there. If you just compress the file without password protection, then mail security does have a decompression engine that's able to unzip the file and take a look at the contents and block the contents of, or block the email based on the contents of the zip file. Now, if you took the extra step and password protected that zip file, then at that point, mail security is not going to know the password or attempt to crack the password to open it. And so it's basically just a checkbox at that point within the software to say, how do you want it to handle compressed and password protected zip files? Do you want those to just bypass checking, or do you want those to be automatically quarantined?
Well, there you go, Tom, and answer your question. You would simply set up a policy then to quarantine an email with a zipped and password protected attachment where it would not leave the premises. And that would take care of that problem. Kevin, you know, I've known you for several years now. We've done a lot of business together, and we've worked on a lot of deals together. What sources do you personally use to educate yourself about network security? How do you keep up to date? Where do you go look every day to kind of keep abreast of what's going on in the industry?
There's a few places I like. One of my favorites, and it's one that I found kind of early on in tech support, is a website called ultimatewindowssecurity.com, and it's run by a guy named Randy Franklin Smith. I don't know if are you familiar with him at all, Bruce?
I have. I've actually been to that website a couple times, and it's very interesting.
Yeah, I initially visited his website when I was supporting our Events Manager product, which performs collection and alerting and filtering on the Windows event logs, and I needed some help identifying what a particular event log meant, and so I kind of stumbled across his site, and it's really good. I mean, he specializes in the Windows security event logs, and from a network security standpoint, especially in a Windows environment, there's just a wealth of information you can get from those logs, and you know, you can go to his website and just sign up for the email notifications on his webinars, and he usually does 1 to 3 a month. And it's always really good data on how to use the event logs, as well as other things. He talks about the endpoints. He talks about data leakage. He talks about just kind of best practices from an Active Directory standpoint and security. And I found that, you know, he's an excellent resource, and he always brings in a vendor or some other industry expert into the conversation as well. So it's not just his perspective. You know, we've done ones with him in the past where it's, you know, Randy talking about a particular topic and then GFI.
Right.
So I really like his stuff. One of the other areas that's a little bit newer to me is here at GFI. Over the course of the last, I guess really this year, we started doing it. We set up a network of Microsoft MVPs, and I know, Bruce, you've kind of done some work with us on our kind of partner MVP group to give feedback on our partner program. And we have sort of the same thing with a collection of, we're up to about 13 or 14 Microsoft MVPs from around the world in various disciplines. And we talk to them on a weekly basis, just getting their feedback on what's going on in the industry, what's going on specific to GFI products. And while that's not a resource that, you know, everybody's going to be able to tap into immediately, I think almost everybody on that list has a blog or has some form of website to share information. So guys like Chris Rue is one of the newer guys that just came on board with us. He specializes in the kind of medium business space. He's got a great blog that provides good, solid technical information as well as some humorous type things as well, just kind of lighten it up.
Sure.
Andy Goodman is a kind of a local guy. He's from Greensboro, North Carolina, and he's a small business server MVP, and I mean, knows small business server completely inside and out. So if you're kind of more of a smaller type consultant or a smaller type administrator, you know, maybe under 50 users, then Andy Goodman's a great guy to look out. You know, search for Handy Andy, and you'll come across him pretty quickly.
Well, I tell you what, it is a ever-changing world of threats out there, which of course leads me right up to the next question, because this is what you do for a living and your company is all about, really is, kind of focused around security and messaging stuff. What if you look in that crystal ball of yours and kind of peer out into the future, and not too distant future, but within the next few months or whatever, what threats do you see looming on the horizon right now that we should be aware of?
Well, the two areas where we've had the most conversations recently, number one, the biggest one has been the impact of cloud computing on really businesses of all sizes. That
Right.
GFI has recently, with the release of GFI Max, stepped into the managed services or cloud computing arena, and we're marketing that down to very small IT consultants. So it's not something that just the enterprise guys are looking at. And when you start thinking about doing mail archiving in the cloud, where your data is going to be stored somewhere outside of your organization, or doing backups to the cloud, or I've talked to there's a company called Doyens that does virtualization in the cloud, where you can take backups of your server and then basically upload it to them, and they host it as a VM in the cloud.
Really? Oh wow. Okay.
So it's
as a virtual machine.
Yeah, and so if you want to go, let's say you want to take a Windows 2003 small business server and upgrade it to SBS 2008, but you don't really want to do it live. You take a backup, you upload it into the cloud, they host it as a virtual machine, and you do your upgrade in the cloud. And if everything goes okay, then you pull it down and run it live. So, I mean, crazy.
Yeah, that is
crazy
wild
stuff,
crazy.
but,
You would have to have serious bandwidth, wouldn't you, to do something like that?
Yeah, I would think so. And so that's going to be, that's one area that I think everybody's going to have to think about is, for some organizations, putting data into the cloud, regardless of how secure it's going to be once it gets out there, just isn't going to work because of their particular compliance issues or their particular requirements. And then the question will come up, if you do decide to allow another company to filter your email before it gets to you, or monitor your servers in the cloud as we're doing, then as a consumer, you've got to do some evaluation there and make sure you're comfortable with that happening. So that's going to be a big area that GFI is looking into. We, like I said, we just released GFI Max, and we're also looking at offering some alternatives to our customers that, if you want to filter your spam locally, you can do that. If you want to filter it in the cloud, you can do that as well.